The door clicked softly shut behind us, sealing out the sounds of the quiet neighborhood beyond. And in that stillness, I felt it, his presence behind me, close enough that I could sense the warmth of him, close enough that I could feel the air change, charged now with something we'd both been skirting around for weeks. My heart thudded hard against my ribs as I stood there, caught between the safety of the familiar and the undeniable pull of what waited just behind me. Hey, if you're here and feeling the vibe already, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to support these stories and help more people find them. It means the world, and it keeps us going. Thanks for being here. His voice came low, near my ear. This is the master suite, spacious, good light, and a pause, the kind that says more than words ever could. I turned slightly, and there he was, Daniel, my realtor, my guide through this whole process, standing closer than he had in any of the other dozen houses we'd walked through together. His eyes searched mine, and I saw it there. The same tension, the same longing I'd been feeling since that first afternoon he shook my hand and offered me his easy, confident smile. But let me take you back. Selling my house wasn't supposed to be emotional. It was practical. After decades of noise, of the city's constant hum outside my window, I was ready for something quieter, simpler. A smaller place out in the foothills, where I could breathe easier and sleep through the night without sirens or car alarms in the distance. Daniel had been recommended by a friend, a man in his early 40s maybe, with just enough silver at his temples to give him a distinguished edge, but with an energy that spoke of someone still fully in his prime. From the first meeting, there was an ease between us. His handshake had been firm, his smile genuine, his gaze steady. He listened, not just to what I said, but to what I didn't say. And as we moved from property to property over the past few weeks, I found myself looking forward to the appointments more than I should have. Not because of the houses, we both knew none of them had been quite right, but because of him. The way he made me feel seen. The way his hand sometimes brushed mine when we flipped through listings together. The way his laugh lingered in the air between us. And now, here we were. Another house, another showing. But this one felt different. The moment we stepped through the door, the weight of the unspoken settled over us heavier than before. The rooms echoed with the possibility of what neither of us had dared to say out loud. And in the master bedroom, with its soft afternoon light slanting through the blinds, that possibility felt closer than ever. I turned fully to face him, my back now to the large window that framed a view of the quiet street. He didn't step back. He stayed right there, close enough that I could see the subtle stubble along his jaw, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. "This one feels different," he said quietly, his eyes locked on mine. "Doesn't it?" I nodded, unable to find my voice. It did feel different, but not because of the house. His hand lifted, slow, as if giving me every chance to stop him. He brushed a strand of hair back from my forehead, his fingers lingering just a moment longer than necessary, his touch sending a shiver through me that had nothing to do with the cool air from the vent above. We stayed like that, suspended in the quiet, in the what if, in the just about to happen. And in that moment, I knew something between us had shifted, and there would be no going back. The silence in the master bedroom stretched, thick with everything neither of us had said. Daniel's hand lingered by my temple, his fingers grazing my skin so lightly I wasn't sure if I felt it or imagined it. His eyes stayed locked on mine, steady, searching, full of a question I felt in my chest before I could name it. My heart thudded loud in my ears, and I realized I'd been holding my breath. I let it out slowly, and with it, something shifted inside me. I wasn't going to step away. I wasn't going to break the moment. I wanted to see where this led. I wanted him. "This house isn't the right fit either," I said quietly, my attempt at lightness falling flat under the weight of what was hanging between us. Daniel's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "No," he said, his voice low. "But maybe we stop pretending. That's what this has been about." He closed the last bit of distance between us then, his hand moving from my face to my shoulder, his thumb brushing along my collarbone where my shirt lay open at the neck. His touch was warm, firm, but gentle, sending a pulse of heat through me that settled deep, low. I didn't move. I couldn't. My body was caught somewhere between anticipation and relief, as if it had been waiting for this without me realizing it. "I didn't plan for this to happen," Daniel said, his breath warm against my cheek. "Neither did I said, and that was the truth. His other hand lifted, resting at my waist, the weight of it grounding me. We stood like that, so close I could feel his chest rise and fall with each breath, the heat of his body radiating through the small space between us. I let my hands lift slowly, hesitantly, resting them against his sides. The feel of him under my palms, solid, steady, sent a shiver up my spine. He leaned in then, his forehead brushing mine, his nose grazing my cheek, and for a long moment we stayed suspended there, sharing breath, sharing the unspoken. When his lips found mine, it was soft at first, almost cautious. A question. I answered with a kiss of my own, and the tension that had built between us over weeks melted into the heat of that first connection. His hand at my waist tightened slightly, pulling me closer until our bodies aligned, the press of him against me making my breath hitch. The kiss deepened, slow but certain, his mouth exploring mine with a tenderness that made my chest ache. My fingers slid up his back, feeling the strength there, the warmth of him seeping through the fabric of his shirt. When we parted, it was only by a breath, our foreheads still touching, our eyes closed. The quiet of the house seemed to hold us, the sunlight streaming through the blinds, painting soft stripes across his face. "I've wanted this," he admitted, his voice rough with feeling. "Longer than I should have." "Me too," I said, my thumb brushing along his side. "I don't want to stop." He smiled again, softer this time, and kissed me once more, slow and deep, as if we had all the time in the world. The room felt smaller now, the space between us completely erased. Daniel's hand stayed firm at my waist, his thumb making slow, thoughtful circles that seemed to echo the rhythm of my heart. I could still taste his kiss, still feel the weight of his body against mine, and for the first time in a long while, I felt fully seen. The light through the blinds shifted as the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting stripes of gold across the bed, across us. Daniel's forehead rested against mine, his breath warm, steadying. "You okay?" he asked, his voice low and sincere. I nodded, my hand sliding up his back, fingertips tracing the strong lines of his shoulders. "Yeah, more than okay." There was relief in his smile, but also something deeper. Desire, yes, but also care, respect, the weight of everything that had built between us over the past weeks. His hand slid higher, along my side, until it rested at the center of my chest, right over my heart. His palm was warm, his touch grounding. For a moment, we just stood like that, two men caught in a moment that neither of us wanted to break. "I kept telling myself this wasn't happening," Daniel said quietly, "that I was just imagining it, that you couldn't possibly feel the same." "I told myself the same thing," I admitted, my voice thick with emotion. "But here we are." His smile turned softer, and he leaned in again, kissing me with a tenderness that made my knees weak. This kiss was slower, more certain, as if he wanted to savor it, to make it last. His hand slid down my chest, tracing the line of buttons on my shirt, hesitating just long enough for me to nod. Silent permission that I wanted this too. He undid the top button, then the next, each movement careful, deliberate, his gaze flicking to mine, as if to check that I was with him, that I wanted this as much as he did. And I did. God, I did. My hands found the hem of his shirt, tugging it free from where it had been tucked neatly into his slacks. My fingers brushed the skin of his lower back, warm and firm, and I felt the softest tremor run through him at the touch. The shirt fell open, and Daniel's hand slid up to my shoulders, then down my arms, leaving goosebumps in their wake. His touch was reverent, like he was memorizing me. His lips found mine again, deeper now, and I felt the tension melt away as I let myself fall into him, into this. We moved together as if drawn by something bigger than us, until my back met the edge of the bed. He paused then, his hand cupping my cheek, his thumb brushing the line of my jaw. "Tell me if you want to stop," he said, his voice low but steady. "I don't want to stop," I said, my own voice just a breath. Daniel smiled, the kind of smile that lit him up from the inside, and kissed me again, slower this time, deeper, his hands steady and sure as they explored the shape of me. And in that quiet master bedroom, bathed in the soft light of the setting sun, two men crossed the line that had been waiting for them all along. The master bedroom, once just another stop on our tour of houses, felt transformed. No longer just walls and windows, but a space that held the weight of everything we hadn't said until now. The golden light of late afternoon slanted across the floor, painting us in soft stripes of warmth and shadow. Daniel stood so close I could feel his breath, the steady thrum of his heart beneath my hand, his touch, his gaze, the gentle way he kissed me. They all spoke what words couldn't. He drew back just enough to look at me, his thumb brushing along my cheek. "I want this to be right," he said quietly, his voice rough with emotion. "For you." "It already is," I said, and I meant it. More right than I dared hope. His smile was soft, full of relief and something deeper. Care, longing, maybe even wonder. His hand slid along my sides, slow and sure, as if he was relearning the shape of me, as if each inch mattered. His fingers caught the edge of my shirt, lifting it, giving me every chance to stop him. I didn't. I raised my arms, let him ease it over my head, felt the cool air of the room meet my skin, felt the warmth of his hands replace it. Daniel's palms explored my chest, his touch gentle, deliberate, as if he was committing me to memory. His fingers traced the lines of my collarbone, the soft curve of my stomach, the steady beat of my heart beneath his hand. He leaned in, pressing a kiss to my shoulder, then lower, the brush of his lips sending a shiver through me. My hands found him too, beneath the fabric of his shirt, feeling the solid strength of him, the heat of his skin. I tugged the shirt free, and he helped me pull it over his head, his body now bare against mine, warm and real. We stood like that for a long moment, skin to skin, breath mingling, hearts racing together. His forehead rested against mine, his hands at my waist, steadying us both. "You feel so good," he murmured, his voice soft, awed. "So do you," I whispered back, my fingers tracing the lines of his back, his shoulders, down to his hips. The feel of him under my hands, the weight of him against me. It was all I wanted, all I'd been waiting for without even knowing it. He kissed me again, deeper now, his mouth warm and sure on mine. We moved together without thinking, without planning, until the backs of my legs met the edge of the bed again. Daniel paused, his eyes searching mine, asking without words if this was okay, if this was what I wanted. I answered with a nod, with a kiss, with the way I drew him down with me onto the mattress. The bed creaked softly beneath us, the sound grounding, real. His hands roamed my body, slow and reverent, as mine did the same. There was no rush, no need to hurry. Just the quiet, shared discovery of what it meant to finally let go, to finally say yes to what had been building between us from the start. The light outside faded, but inside the master bedroom, everything felt bright, as if we'd found something we hadn't even known we were searching for. The last of the daylight slipped through the blinds, painting faint gold across Daniel's back as he leaned over me, his hands braced on either side of my shoulders. The room smelled faintly of wood polish and sun-warmed air, but all I could truly sense was him, the warmth of his skin against mine, the quiet weight of his body as it pressed gently down, the way his breath came in soft, steady waves that matched my own. We stayed like that for a moment, suspended, the world beyond these four walls, forgotten. His gaze held mine, steady and full of meaning, as if he could see all the questions I didn't have to ask. His thumb brushed along my jaw, a touch so tender it made my chest ache. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice low, more breath than sound. I reached up, my palm cupping his cheek, feeling the faint rasp of stubble there, the warmth of him. "I've never been more sure," I said, and I meant it with everything I had. His lips met mine again, unhurried, as if we had all the time in the world. There was no rush, no urgency, just the slow unfolding of what had been waiting between us. His hands moved along my sides, fingers splaying across my ribs, my waist, as if he were learning me for the first time, as if each inch mattered. I let my own hands explore him in return, tracing the lines of his shoulders, the strong plane of his back, the curve of his hips. His skin was warm under my palms, solid and real, and every small sound he made, a soft sigh, a low hum in the back of his throat, felt like a gift. The bed creaked quietly beneath us as we shifted, fitting ourselves together, finding the places where we aligned. His thigh slid between mine, his chest pressed to mine, and I felt the steady beat of his heart, fast and sure, echoing my own. His kisses trailed along my jaw, down my neck, slow and reverent, each one leaving behind a heat that lingered long after his lips moved on. Outside, the world continued, cars passing in the distance, a dog barking once, the hum of the quiet neighborhood settling in for the night. But inside, it was just us, wrapped in the soft hush of the master bedroom, in the quiet we'd made between us. Daniel drew back slightly, his eyes searching mine, his smile small but full of wonder. "You're incredible," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I don't know how I waited this long to tell you." I threaded my fingers through his hair, pulling him down for another kiss, slower still. "We're here now," I said. "That's what matters." And so we stayed, wrapped in each other, hands roaming, mouths finding each other again and again as the night fell fully outside and we lost ourselves in the warmth and quiet of what we'd finally found. The room had gone dark except for the faint spill of moonlight slipping through the blinds, casting soft stripes across the bed, across us. The master bedroom, which hours ago had been just another stop on our tour, had become a world of its own, a quiet sanctuary where time had slowed and where we had nothing to prove, nothing to hide. Daniel lay beside me, his arm draped over my chest, his fingertips tracing slow, lazy patterns across my skin. I felt the warmth of his breath against my shoulder, the solid weight of his leg tangled with mine. His presence filled the space between us, not just his body, but everything unspoken, years of wanting, weeks of building tension, and now the shared wonder of having finally stepped across the line. I turned my head slightly, catching the soft curve of his smile in the pale light. "What?" I asked, my voice a whisper, not wanting to break the quiet that had settled over us. He shook his head, his thumb brushing along my jaw. "Just you," he said. "This. I don't know how I waited this long." I let my hand roam, sliding along his back, feeling the warmth of him beneath my palm. "I think we were waiting for the right moment," I said, "and we found it." His smile deepened and he leaned in, his lips finding mine again, slow, lingering, as if he wanted to memorize the taste of me. His hand moved along my chest, down my side, his touch firm but gentle, exploring with a care that made my chest ache in the best way. There was no rush in him, no need to hurry, just the shared joy of discovery, the quiet wonder of finally being allowed to feel what we'd both kept buried for so long. I pulled him closer, feeling the heat of his body against mine, the thrum of his heart beating steady and strong beneath my hand. His kisses trailed from my mouth to my throat, along my collarbone, each one leaving behind a warmth that spread through me like fire. His thigh slid between mine again, the weight of him a comfort, an anchor. We shifted together, finding the ways our bodies fit, the places we aligned, the spots that made us both sigh into the night. My hands traced the lines of him, his shoulders, his spine, the curve of his waist, savoring the feel of him, the realness of him. And he did the same, his touch slow, reverent, like we had all the time in the world. Outside, the world carried on, a breeze rustling through the trees, the distant sound of a car on the quiet street. But inside, the night was ours, and we stayed wrapped in it, in each other, in the quiet joy of having found what we didn't even know we'd been looking for. And as the moon rose higher, casting its light across us, I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't the end of anything. This was just the beginning. The moonlight had shifted higher by the time I opened my eyes again, casting softer silver patterns across the room, the bed, Daniel's bare skin. He lay beside me, head propped on his folded arm, his hand resting over my stomach like it belonged there, like it had always belonged there. His thumb traced slow, absent circles just below my navel, the touch light but steady, sending a ripple of warmth through me each time he moved. Outside, the world was quiet, the neighborhood asleep. Inside, the master bedroom felt like a world apart. The air was warm from us, from what we'd shared, from the way we kept finding each other again and again through the night. Daniel's eyes met mine, heavy-lidded but bright, his smile soft in the moonlight. "You're incredible," he murmured, his voice low, full of wonder, like he couldn't quite believe this was real. I brushed his hair back from his forehead, my hand lingering at his cheek. "So are you. You have no idea." He shifted closer, his thighs sliding fully over mine, his chest pressing warm and firm to my side. His hand moved higher, fingers splaying across my chest, his palm flat over my heart. I could feel his breath against my throat, the slow, steady rhythm of it as he kissed the curve of my neck, my collarbone, the hollow at the base of my throat. Each kiss deliberate, lingering, as if he wanted to taste every part of me. I sighed into his touch, my hands finding him in return, sliding along the strong lines of his back down to his waist, pulling him closer still. His skin was warm, his muscles shifting beneath my palms, solid and sure. My fingers traced the curve of his hip, the firm roundness there, memorizing the feel of him, the weight of him as he pressed against me. Daniel's hand slid down again, fingertips trailing over my ribs, my stomach, along the line of my hip. His touch was slow, thoughtful, his breath hitching softly when I arched into him. His thigh pressed between mine again, the heat of him unmistakable, the firmness of him undeniable, and we moved together without thinking, without planning, just feeling, just being. Our mouths found each other's again, the kisses deeper now, mouths open, breaths mingling, tasting, learning. His hands explored more boldly, his palms skimming over the curve of my lower back, the slope of my ass, drawing me tighter against him, as if he couldn't stand even the smallest distance between us. I felt his body against mine, every inch of him, fitting to me like we were made for this, for each other, like this was where we'd been heading all along. The bed creaked softly beneath us as we moved together, slow, savoring, our hands and mouths speaking all the things we hadn't said out loud. His lips trailed lower, his tongue flicking against the sensitive skin of my chest, his breath warm, his stubble scratching just enough to make me shiver beneath him. My fingers threaded through his hair, urging him on, needing the connection, the closeness, the truth of him. Outside, the night held its breath for us. Inside, we filled the space with quiet gasps, low sighs, the soft sound of skin meeting skin as we learned each other in the dark. And when we finally slowed again, breathless, limbs tangled, hearts pounding in sync, I felt it as surely as I felt his hand still resting at my side. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't about a house or a bedroom or a single night. This was us, and we weren't finished. The soft light of dawn crept through the blinds, washing the room in pale gold and casting gentle shadows across the bed, across us. Daniel lay half on his side, his arm draped over me, his leg tangled with mine, his head resting near my shoulder. His breath was slow and even, his body warm against mine, anchoring me in the quiet that filled the room. The house was still, the world outside just beginning to stir, but inside everything felt suspended, as if time itself had paused to let us savor this moment. I let my fingers drift along his back, tracing the lines of his spine, the curve of his shoulder, the soft rise and fall of his breath. He stirred at my touch, his eyes fluttering open, and when he looked at me, there was no hesitation, no uncertainty, just warmth, just us. "Morning," he said, his voice rough with sleep but soft, tender. "Morning," I echoed, my hand settling at the small of his back, keeping him close. We stayed like that for a while, neither of us rushing to move, to speak, to break the quiet that had settled over us. His fingers brushed lightly over my chest, his thumb stroking slow circles, as if to reassure himself that I was really here, that the night hadn't been a dream. His gaze held mine, full of something deeper than words, a mix of relief, wonder, and something that felt a lot like joy. "I didn't expect this," Daniel said after a while, his smile small but sincere. "Not when I walked through that door with you yesterday, but I don't regret a second of it."
"Neither do I said, and I meant it with everything I had. It feels like we found something we didn't know we were looking for."
His hand tightened slightly on mine, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. "It does," he said, "and I don't want to leave it behind when we walk out of here." "You won't," I promised. "Neither will I." The house around us seemed different in the morning light, not just a structure of walls and windows anymore, but the place where everything had changed. We rose slowly, helping each other dress, our touches lingering, unwilling to let go of the closeness we'd found. He helped me button my shirt, his fingers brushing my skin, his gaze warm and steady. I smoothed his collar, my hand resting for a moment at his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. We moved through the house together, quiet but content, taking in the rooms one last time before stepping out into the fresh morning air. The street was quiet, bathed in soft light, the promise of a new day all around us. Daniel stood close, his hand brushing mine, his smile easy, unguarded. "So," he said, glancing at me with a spark in his eye. "Coffee? Breakfast? Or maybe we just keep driving and see where the day takes us?" I laughed, my heart light. All of the above. And as we walked to the car, side by side, the door of the house closing behind us, I knew that what we'd found in that master bedroom wasn't just about one night or one house. It was the start of something real, something lasting, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take us next.